Hi, everybody. It's Allison Williams here, law firm mentor. Today is Monday, June. Oh gosh, I don't even know the time. What is it? June 11th? Yes, June 11th. And of course, I'm a little disoriented on the time because I just got back from vacation in Aruba. So I'm glad to be back and I'm glad to be talking to you guys again. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever. So I wanted to use today to share something with you that I think we all can benefit from. So, as you know, we have recently had some pretty high profile suicides in our public discourse. We had Kate Spade and we had Anthony Bourdain. And both of those tragic events really sparked a conversation in social media about suicide and about what people can do to try to preserve life. And one thing that that I found that I really want to just applaud is the fact that we had so many people step up and say, it's probably not the best thing to do to tell people that they need to be checking on their loved ones, as if checking on someone can prevent suicide. Because the people that lose friends and family members to suicide will often feel that they are being blamed for not having done enough to prevent their loved one from taking their life. And there are different schools of thought on that, but ultimately, one of the things that that line of thought has brought out that I'm really happy to see is the discussion about depression and mental health treatment in general. And so that kind of brings me to what I wanted to talk to you about today, which is authenticity. So I am someone that has a history of having gone through a very, very severe depression in my life. I was diagnosed in, I believe it was 2011, with a major depressive disorder. And by major, I mean that I was getting up every day, going to work, performing as a lawyer. That was actually during the time in my life when I took the most substantial steps in my career. And as a depressed person, I was developing a statewide reputation and I was trying cases all over the state. And people knew me and respected me wherever I went. And it was really a great rise in my career. But when I was not at work, I was at home crying, sitting in dark rooms, wondering when it would be over, wishing that my life was better, wishing that my life was over, and any number of negative feelings. And I really did not talk about this until, I don't know, probably the last couple of years I've gotten to the point where I would admit it to people. But I felt a great deal of shame, particularly as a lawyer struggling with depression, because I really felt like, what right do I have to be depressed? If you look at what lawyers earn, I was at the top strata of earnings for lawyers. And if you look at, where I came from, I grew up in the middle class in Pensacola, Florida. I now live in the Northeast, where the standard of living is much higher, earnings are much higher. I, as a black female, own a business. Now, I didn't own a business when I went through depression. I actually had recovered from it by the time I started my law firm. But I was still a lawyer, and I had a prominent job, and I earned a substantial income, and I had a great reputation. So what was wrong? I had many friends. my family, I saw my family 2 or 3 times a year because they live in the South and all over the country. And so I didn't really feel like I was entitled to feel depressed. And so there was a lot of shame around the fact that I was experiencing these deep, dark thoughts, and I didn't know how to talk to anyone about it. And even when I got to the point of discussing it in therapy, it was still one quiet, secret space where I could go and talk about what I was feeling. I didn't share it with anyone that knew me. And so I was very good at faking. I was very, very good at putting on a public face and telling everyone in the world that I was this happy, successful lawyer, that I dated, that I had friends, that I spent my weekends, doing things I enjoyed, that I traveled, that I loved my work, blah, 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 blah. And that became my narrative. And so no one that I am aware of could have spotted me as a depressed person. And even now when I talk to people about it, they're very surprised to learn that. And so why does this matter? What is this relevant for you? So one of the things that came up as these suicides were publicized last week is that people started talking about it as a general issue. that we should support more investment in mental health treatment, that we should be honest about our own struggles so that we can help people. And I started talking about this. And on several different posts, I shared that I went through a depression, that I took medication for it, that I precipitously stopped my medication, which made me suicidal, that I made plans to end my life, that ultimately my therapist saved my life. And then I started taking action to get well. And in a relatively short period of time with a gratitude journal, I actually got well. 3 weeks, I started to feel a lift. 3 months, I was in full remission of depression, essentially by following the principles of Dr. Martin Seligman in positive psychology. But I shared that with people, not really thinking about it. It was kind of like all right, well, we're talking. I share things all the time. I'm here sharing with you. I have a show on my a Facebook show for my law firm. I've been interviewed by the media. I've kind of been out there as somebody who shares things for a while. But this was something very personal and very private, I guess, in the sense that people didn't know it about me if they didn't already know me very well. And what I found is that it got more positive commentary, more likes, more shares, more loves than just about anything I'd ever posted. On one thread, I think I got well over 40 loves to the fact that I shared this. And on another, it was in the 30s. Now, I don't say this to pat myself on the back for sharing this. I say it because I think a lot of times we as individuals feel very fearful that if we share personal information about ourselves that's less than favorable, or if we talk about our challenges or our struggles, people will judge us negatively. And while that certainly is possible, what I find is that much more often people are inspired by what we have gone through. They're inspired by the struggles that we've had and the fact that we overcame them. And so when you talk to people about what your life is, whether your life has a special needs child that you don't know how to control, or your life has a divorce or two in your past, or your life has financial mismanagement, bankruptcy, any number of negative attributes or less than favorable attributes of life, people think they've got to hide that in order to be perceived favorably. But I'll tell you, it's just the opposite. When people realize how a successful person could have had the same types of problems that they had, if not worse, and come through it, it gives them motivation to look at themselves with a little more compassion. So that's what I offer you today, that you should be authentic in who you are. You should share your authenticity with others. It really will draw people into you, and it will help all people. So I'm Allison Williams, Law Firm Mentor. Have a great Monday.